I'm going to break down my 3-step process on how to speak with clarity and how to articulate your thoughts into simple language. Your ability to showcase how well you can speak is heavily reliant on how you can break things down and explain it in simple terms. There is power in simplicity, and simplicity builds authority, which builds trust. So there's 3 parts of becoming a better communicator and creator. Part 1, you got to put yourself in the shoes of the ICP, the ideal client profile. You have to stop teaching from the mountaintop, and you can't polarize your audience too early. And it's okay if you want to go into high level stuff, but at the beginning of your content, at the beginning of your videos, you can't just polarize them and talk about stuff that they don't even understand what you're talking about. You have to assume that they have no idea what it is you're talking about, they're interested in what you're going to talk about, and they trust you. Those are the 3 things you gotta keep in mind. They have no idea how to do what it is that you're doing or that you're explaining. So you gotta really put yourself in the shoes and ask yourself, what would it be like to understand and hear this information for the first time? Authenticity is everything. We all know this. Authenticity plus relatability equals trust. But when you're relatable and people see you as that authority, people can relate to your story and people can say, hey, this guy's done this before, but he understands where I'm at right now in my journey. That's what creates trust. And just ask yourself, how would I want to come across this video that I'm about to scroll on my phone, or this thumbnail that I'm about to click on, or this title that I see on YouTube, or this entire YouTube video? How would I like to see it if I was coming across this thing for the very, very first time and that I wanted to learn how to do whatever it is that I'm showing you? How would I want it to be explained to me? Because that's why I created this channel. I was seeing so many different people online making really high value content, but it was at a language that was kind of hard for me to understand. And I'm trying to make that a little bit more clear for people who are trying to start their personal brand and just making content for the very first time. I totally understand what it's like to be overwhelmed with a lot of information. Now, part 2, have intent and emotion behind the words that are coming out of your mouth. It's not about what you say, it's how you say it. And that's what actually lands. That's when you can say something and someone's like, damn, this guy's speaking facts. It's to do with the emotion behind it. It's to do with the pacing. All of these things, when you're speaking and emphasizing certain points, are critical for your ability to communicate simply and gain trust and authority with your audience. Pretty cliche. Practice makes perfect. My acting skills built my speaking muscle. I literally had to memorize an entire 200-page play, word by word, and I had to speak it on stage, and I had to act it out with emotion, with intent, crying, laughing, everything complete from memorization. I had 2 months to memorize this thing, and I did it. I've also spent thousands of hours talking to the camera. I don't get fazed by the camera anymore. I don't care how I sound. I know that I'm doing my job right, and it's comfortable to me at this point. I am comfortable in the discomfort. As crazy as it felt like when I was 19 years old, a couple years back, wondering about why is it so hard to talk on camera? I'm so nervous. I'm freezing up, but now it's just a muscle, and practice makes perfect, man. As cliche as it is, you don't have to be an actor to practice what actors do. A lot of actors, they read their scripts out loud. They read it over and over and over again. If that's what it takes, that's what it takes. Write out your thoughts, journal, type it out, and then read it out loud. Articulate, practice your pacing and reading, and you don't have to film it either. It's all practice, it's all getting in the reps. That's what I've been emphasizing this entire time. Also, stay hydrated. When you're speaking a lot, you gotta drink your water. Let's practice reading this sentence out loud. Last night I saw a ghost. It freaked me out, but it turns out that it was my brother in the living room. Pretty boring, right? There's no emotion, and I can't tell you how many times that I see Instagram content or YouTube videos with dudes are just speaking at this tonality like a robot. I am scrolling on you, buddy. You need to understand that, like, if you care, the audience is gonna care. So if I tell you, last night I saw a ghost and it freaked me out, but it turns out that it was my brother in the living room. Do you see the difference there? Do you see the difference in my tonality, in my facial expressions, in the way that I explained it? You can almost imagine me seeing a ghost in my living room and then finding out that it's just my brother when he steps into the light. Your tonality is everything. You gotta make someone visualize what it is that you're telling them. I don't care whatever it is that you're talking about. I don't care if you're talking about finance. I don't care if you're talking about dentistry. You gotta speak with emotion, and you gotta make someone feel something, and you gotta make them visualize it all together. You gotta implement every single piece of the puzzle, and it creates what we call authority and trust. And a big one is by using facial expressions. And you can see in my facial expression that, like, I'm pretty serious right now because I'm actually passionate about this, and I'm trying to nail down these points because I want you to do well, because I've done extremely well in my personal brand so far. It's only been a couple of months, and I've seen so much success, and this is the strategy that I've used to make my content, which is the number one thing that has brought me to this point in time. That is why I am so passionate about it, and you can see it on my face, right? But then if you told me to tell you a really sad story about like a time when I was young where I got picked on, or a time when like I was going through a rough time when I ran out of money and it was just really tough, or like the time when I went to the movie theater fully in a suit because there's like this trend and like I made my friends laugh. Like you can see it in my facial expression when I'm telling these stories that there's emotion behind it because I'm visualizing it. You can see it and you can feel it. It creates this emotional layer in your content, which is extremely important, because if you're not connecting with people on an emotional level, it's going to be kind of harder for people to resonate with you and for people to be able to connect with you and see you as a human, because that's the thing that AI can't do right now, at least, is that layer of emotion that really gets people leaning in on their seat and like listening to you. Like when people are telling you a really sad story or an emotional story or their success story, you're leaning in because it's emotional, because they're getting emotional about it. So you got to be open up to being a little bit vulnerable, not trauma dumping on the audience, but I'm talking about being a little bit emotional in terms of the words that you're saying and just adding that layer to create a little bit more depth. Because when you can evoke someone's emotion, you get them to listen to you. Another thing that I want to talk about, this is a bonus tip, is the pacing that you speak. A big thing is the way that you articulate with the amount of breath that you're actually holding in your lungs. I learned this in acting school, where you learn to breathe in through your belly, through your gut, because it holds a lot more power. So if you let go of all the tension, you relax, and you take a deep breath into your gut, into your stomach, not your chest. You breathe in and then you start talking, and then you pace yourself, and then you start to do it naturally. You're gonna find that you're a lot more calmer as well, because when you breathe into your diaphragm, it hits your central nervous system and actually calms your body down. It helps a lot, especially if you're in a conversation. You can apply it to networking with people, to meeting new friends and meeting family members and talking to them about what you do. It all comes down to the way you can hold a conversation, and it also gives you a little bit more confidence when you can pause in between conversations and breathe and let the conversation sit, because you don't always have to be thinking on the fly and be super sharp. It's actually a little bit better when you're a little bit more calculated in conversations. Now, part 3, aside from all that stuff, part 3 is bringing everything all together. Kiss, and not actually kiss. I'm not gonna kiss you. What the? Get your head out the gutter, man. It stands for keep it super simple. Step 1, speak to your younger self. Step 2, have intent behind the words you say and visualize it as you say it. If you can visualize whatever it is that you're explaining, you'll have endless amounts of content. And we got to bring all this stuff together and keep it super simple. So let's look at another example. Teaching someone how to do a pull-up. Let's say you're a gymnast. You run the block on how to do pull-ups, okay? If anything, you're trying to teach people how to do a muscle up. But you get a beginner and they're trying to learn how to do a pull-up. They've never done one in their entire life. You got to put yourself in the shoes of who you were before you even learned how to do a pull-up. Ask yourself, what was it like learning this for the first time? What did it feel like? Relive that moment. And the in-between is the gold, because when you can explain it and we can tell them about your experience and how you learned how to grip the bar, learn how to pull yourself up, learn how to up the weight, every single piece of the puzzle that it took for you to create the entire picture is the desired situation. That's the result that they're looking for. And you need to be able to articulate exactly how you got there in simple terms with emotion and being able to resonate with your younger self. So if you could do all that, you can explain something simply. Just make it simple enough for a 10-year-old to understand. And if you can't explain it simply, then you don't understand it enough to be qualified to teach it to someone. Simplicity builds your credibility. So stop using fancy words that nobody understands. If somebody tests you and asks you about your knowledge, sure, go ahead, but that's if someone's testing you, because simplicity beats complexity every single time. And I promise you this, millionaires don't care about your vocabulary. They care if you're credible enough to talk about it. I can't tell you how many people I've met who are extremely successful, who just know how to speak well, but they don't go into advanced jargon. They don't create a disconnect between me and them. Their ability to just connect with someone and speak things simply and just be a normal person is so powerful, because it shows that like, damn, there's a layer behind this person that knows so much that they don't even need to prove it to me or to anyone else or in their content that they know all this stuff and that they're this successful person or that they're credible or that they're an authority. They can be extremely simple and give people the bare minimum, and just them doing that alone and their confidence and conviction in what they're saying because of how simple it is everything. I hope that makes sense. TLDR, articulate how to do something to your younger self. Bring energy to your instructions, keep it simple, because simplicity plus clarity equals authority, which equals trust. I like keeping it super simple. KISS, remember that acronym. So that's everything for today. Let me know if you found this information helpful or if you didn't. But either way, thank you for watching and stay locked in, my friend.